Welcome to Read the Book First. This week we are talking about all the Matilda adaptations, and to help me break them down, Amanda has returned.
Hi.
If you want to figure out what Matilda adaptations we're talking about, check the chapter markers in the description. I'm assuming they're there, and I put them in. Shout out editing Janessa. But we're going to start with she truly does the most amount of work here. We are going to start with the 1996 film adaptation of Matilda, and then move on to the musical and the movie musical. Timestamps below. The movie Matilda was one of my all-time favorite movies, and my brother liked it, and then our family friends who were twins, who were my age, we hung out all the time. We watched it so much, and we would, like, whenever one of us was being annoying or mean, the rest of everyone would be like, "You're gonna go get put in the chokey," and we'd pretend the closet was the chokey. And like we loved this movie, and I haven't watched it in over 10 years at least, and I had so much fun rewatching this movie. And I'm excited to talk about it. It's a for like a 1996 kid movie.
Oh yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't really remember when I watched this movie. I just know that as I was watching it, it was so familiar. But like, I remember the first part of this movie super well. But then I got really freaked out by the chokey scene, and I don't remember how old I was. But I did the same thing I did when my sister was watching Beauty and the Beast. I ran away because I got freaked out. Mm-hmm. At some point, I've had to have finished it, obviously. But like, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you when, where, or why, or how many times I watched it, or how many times I watched it before or after. Like, God knows.
The chokey scene is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, before we really dive in, if you've not listened to the book episode, go listen to it. Spoilers ahead, as is in every episode. This movie is directed and starring Danny DeVito, and I met him once. Did I ever tell you this story?
You probably did. Tell me again.
So, to get to my island, you have to take a ferry from the airport. It's about a 5-10 minute ferry. We're on the ferry to the airport to leave, and I was obsessed with Matilda. I looked, there's this man up there, and I was like, "Mom, that's the dad from Matilda." And my mom's like, "No." My mom also doesn't really know celebrities. And then she's like, "Well, people are taking pictures with him." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the guy from Matilda." I was like probably 8, maybe 9, prime Matilda watching age. And I remember I was also very brave. And I went up to him, and I remember shaking his hand. And my mom has a very blurry picture because she was getting the camera out of her bag, like film camera, and blurrily took a picture, and we have it printed in a scrapbook, but it's the blurriest picture, but you can tell it is Danny DeVito.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so shout out Danny DeVito.
Claim to fame.
Yep. I just love that he made this because he's such an interesting actor, especially now he's so famous for Always Sunny, which is the opposite vibe of this movie. But it's just interesting to see what he was doing for a while as a creative person, and where it's gone. What an actor, what a guy.
Well, and it's also so funny because my biggest childhood memories of Danny DeVito are him as Phil on the soundtrack of Hercules.
Yes.
That's that and this are the two things I know.
This, and then when he's the stripper in Friends, which, because my mom would love Friends, so I watched a lot of Friends. He plays a stripper in Friends, and it's a goofy little time. So but yes, Hercules was one of the VHSs we had that we watched a lot. I love this movie. When it opens up with the voiceover that is Danny DeVito, which I think is a nice little touch. And I think the use of voiceover in this movie, I think, plays to the the tropes, I guess is the word, of kid movies, which is it's not bad, but I think it does it in a balanced way. It's not overdone, and it's not holding the audience's hand through it like a lot of voiceovers do.
Yeah.
But it's a good, this is a story, and it's kind of in the theme of storybooks and that kind of vibe.
And it's also just it's also helping poor child actor Matilda Mara Wilson out. Because she's doing fine. She does a good job in this movie, don't get me wrong. But it really is helpful to have somebody being yes, she is sad because she wanted a friend. Mm-hmm. And it's that's...
Yeah. One of the earlier times I was watching Matilda, and the beginning where they have the baby in the car seat, running back and forth.
That baby's dead. I'm sorry. The logistics of a baby surviving with the wormwoods in that level of neglect is just impossible.
I remember asking my mom, and I was like, "Why is the baby moving around?" And my mom explained the concept of a station wagon to me. And my mom's like, "Which of those cars with the big open back?" And my mom's like, "Yeah, me and my sisters were all stuck in the back of the station wagon when we moved across. No seatbelts, nothing. When we were all under 10." And I remember my Aunt Peggy, and I remember Peggy was like always listening to Fleetwood Mac, and I cannot stand it because she wouldn't let me change the music. And so now my mom hates Fleetwood Mac because of my aunt listening to it over and over, which I understand as someone who has a sibling.
Yeah,
I get it.
No, that's peak sibling vibes.
Yeah, and so whenever I see this scene, I just think of my mom complaining about her sisters in my head.
See, I was thinking about shaky baby syndrome.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Lovely things like that.
But like, besides the like, also like comedically horrible bit of the baby seat moving around, you also see her older brother is sweating, and it's like, oh, they left him in the car. That's how horrible these parents are. It's like, yikes, guys.
They left him in the car while she was giving birth. And then they leave the baby in the trunk of the car on the same day. And I'm like, again, this baby is dead, guys. Like, there is no world where this baby survives.
Then when Matilda's as a toddler, like a baby still, is on the counter writing her name in spinach, it's like, why is that baby on the counter? It's gonna fall off.
And then, like, the joke of then is the mom comes and picks her up. Is like, oh my God, you're such a mess. And it's like, ma'am, your baby just wrote Matilda. She wrote her own name, and you're sitting there being like, baby food mess.
But before we go too much further in, the parents in these first clips, obviously they're very American. The book, very British. The movie, very American. And I think Danny DeVito and the actress who plays his wife, who was his wife, yes,
Rhea Perlman. I looked her up because she sounded like really familiar, and it's because last thing I saw her in she was Barbie.
Yep.
Or well, Bruce Handler in Barbie.
Yeah, she and Danny DeVito were married at the time of this movie.
They're still technically married.
They're still technically married, but they're separated. And
they said, and I quote, because I went on a Wikipedia deep dive. They said, and I quote, "Our friendship is stronger now that we're separated than it was when we were married." And it's like tough.
Yeah. And we'll talk about this as we go through. I think the Americanization of Matilda in this movie is done so expertly. It's still in that like weird, not quite, like it's not quite 90s, very 80s. Like their house is very 70s, renovated in the 80s. They're trying to get the 80s gaudy stuff, but it's everyone else is moving on to the 90s. And costume and set wise, I loved it as like an adult watching this and then noticing these little tiny things. I thought that was fun. In the book and in the musical, when we talk about it, the parents are very British, and in the very idea of a stereotypical neglectful parents in a British way, which is different than American neglectful stereotypes. And I think they did a very smart way of slightly changing it, and like the way they dress and the way they act. There's similarities, obviously, but it's a good like nuanced difference there.
And I think they do a good job of changing it in such a way that, you know, when we were reading the book, we were like, oh my gosh, is Mrs. Wormwood like abused too? And then in the movie, it's a little more like, no, she's just
clueless.
She's just clueless.
And purposely so at some points.
Yes. Yeah. She's purposefully clueless and makes herself that way.
Yeah.
And she is uninterested.
Yeah. And then we have the iconic montage set to On My Way as Matilda is growing up and going to in front of the library. And the soundtrack to this movie is great. Great soundtrack.
I really like that time-lapse montage. I think they do such a great job of showing her growing from this like tiny 2-year-old getting left alone from the first time to like whatever age that was supposed to be.
Making pancakes, looking up the library, like finding the library, walking over. Her saying to the librarian, "I'm sure I can manage." She's like a sassy little girl. She has her parents' sass, but she is still also able to like interact with humans without being rude. Yes. But you can tell that there's some genetics there that if certain other things didn't happen, she could end up like her parents. You know what I mean? And like,
it goes back to what we were saying about the book. If her parents like had paid a lick of attention to her, they would have had a money making machine.
Yes. Yeah. I also love, as you know, she's bringing the books back in the wheelbarrow. We have another time lapse thing, but in the voiceover, it says something to like, Matilda realized that the books are telling her the main message, or like the hopeful message or something of that you are not alone. And it's so good. It's such, this first like 5-10 minutes of before she starts doing the pranking business, like it sets up Matilda so well for this movie. And
it also just captures that feeling of like being a kid that was a reader.
It does.
Which is funny because I don't know how much I qualify as a kid that was a reader in elementary school, just because the only thing I read was nonfiction. I refused to read any
But those are
chapter
books.
Those are books.
Yeah. Did your parents ever tell you to put the books away or put the books down?
No.
Oh. When I got in trouble, my books got taken away. Because my mom, the first time I got sent to my room, I was like, okay. And I went and I just read for hours because I was having a great time. Then my mom realized, oh, this isn't a punishment if I'm sending her to do what she wants, which is be alone and read.
See, we got sent to our room and then we'd cool down. We'd like calm down or chill out and then like have a conversation about whatever we did wrong. It wasn't as much a punishment as just, gentle parenting.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what the Wormwoods do, which goes wildly between like just pure neglect and like authoritarian of like, you're gonna do this, I'm smart, you're dumb, da, da, da,
yeah.
Which goes into like the first time that the dad gets mad at her.
Yeah, the pranks in this movie, I want to see the data of the amount of kids trying to do pranks on their parents or messing with their parents, like shampoos and stuff, after this movie, before and after this movie. Because her putting the peroxide or whatever in her dad's hair stuff, any kid can do that. And I'm just like, I want to see that data. Where is the pranks? My friends and I, the friends who also love this movie now, we would pretend that we were doing that, except for it would be mud and water, and these bottles, our parents are like, these are empties, you can use these outside and when you play outside. So we'd pretend to do this prank on nothing.
But also, how many parents are so neglectful of their kid that the peroxide is within easy reach and the parent isn't going to interrupt?
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the next day, the dad so she does like the hair prank where his hair gets bleached blonde. And then the next day, he like takes Matilda and her brother to his car shop.
Yes.
And is like showing them all the tricks that Roald Dahl just tells us about in the book.
I thought it was a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
It fills out the world a little bit more. And they also add the FBI actively, in quotes, actively being in there. I thought this is a fun bit because it's another set of adults we get to make fun of in this movie, because that's such a pure... Like, that's such an important factor in Roald Dahl books, is making fun of adults. And, like, obviously her parents, bad people. Trunchbull, bad person. We can make fun of them. But it's kind of fun to make fun of adults who are just kind of neutral.
Yeah.
And I like that they added the FBI folks because, like, they know that the parents are bad, but also... we can make fun of them too because they're falling asleep and watching TV in the car.
And they're sitting there being like, we can make sure that you end... I mean, this is later, but we can make sure that you end up in a good orphanage with food. And it's like, guys, it's the 80s. Yeah. Orphanages have fallen out of style a long time ago. Well, not that long, 10 years-ish.
Yeah. But it's, and it's also just fun for how much of a buffoon the FBI agents are and how bad they are at their job. It's just fun little bits.
They're just very lucky that the people that they're after are also buffoons.
Yes.
And this is where the glue prank comes in. And this one I was like, dude, Mr. Wormwood, you turn your back, your daughter hands you your hat, you put it on your head and it gets stuck, and you don't put 2 and 2 together here.
Well, he was distracted because his wife won money. So he was overcome with his greed because he's greedy. Like, that's one of his, like, pure things. Like, they're not smart. That's, like, part of the thing is, like, yes, obviously... Matilda gets away with everything because we want her to as the audience, but also it's like her parents are dumb, I mean,
yes, especially in this movie.
The restaurant scene when they're trying to rip off the head and that dessert ends up going flying. I always dreamed of a dessert falling perfectly on my plate. That's my dream still to this day.
I remember watching this scene on the couch, I think. That dessert did look like it was good.
It did look really good.
The thing I'm curious about is, do you think they got kicked out after that?
Oh, for sure. They either got kicked out or they ran out because they were embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of book related to the bookness, a lot of what we've talked about so far is just kind of an extension of things that are happening in the book. They cut out that ghost prank with the parrot, which is good.
Good. That was the lamest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lame. And also, like, you're sticking a bird up a chimney.
Yeah.
I know you're a child and you don't have a good sense of, like, anything, but no. Don't do that. I don't buy that her dad's definitely not smart, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he's also to me, he always struck me as just firmly anti-intellectual. Because he's definitely clever in the sense of coming up with all these ways to, like, trick people and cheat people and doing this. And that's the implication I always got out of it.
I think he's like, he likes to scheme, so he's clever in like the scheming way. But I think, yeah, I would agree he's clever in that way. I think he is just so equally selfish and insecure that he is always trying to outdo folks in that scheming way, and his need for power essentially overlooks or like skips the part of him that could have been like figuring out, oh, my daughter is the one doing this. Like, I think it's more of that's why he misses the
But the other thing I do want to say, the other thing is that one of the parts that they add into this story is like Trunchbull comes into the
that part's so good.
Trunchbull comes into the car shop, and you don't see her face at all. She goes and talks to Mr. Wormwood and says, I need a car, blah, blah, blah. I run a school, blah, blah, blah.
The silhouette, so good.
The silhouette is so good. Just the whole covering it just really builds a sense of menace about this character. And earlier, Matilda had asked about going to school.
Yeah.
But her parents were like, no, you're like 5. You don't need to go to school.
Yeah. And she's reading Moby Dick and he's like trying to get her to watch TV because it's, again, so important. But like the way they watch TV in this seems way more like poking fun of an Americans. And I think that's like a fun little bit. But when he's like, what are you even reading? And she's like, it's Moby Dick by Herman Melville. And all he says, Moby, what? And that's a joke I did not get as a kid. And that's the book he ends up tearing up. And then she blows up the TV with her telekinetic powers.
And we'll talk about this a little bit more when we talk about the musical, but they hint a lot earlier that Matilda has these powers. And she does the same thing. Frankly, I interpreted that dessert scene the same way. The way that her dessert fell perfectly and Michael's fell on his face.
Yeah. Before she gets to school in the movie compared to later on in the musical, I think this version of Matilda, we see how smart she already is naturally, I think, in juxtaposition of her parents, because we have so much time to see what buffoons they are compared to the musical and a little bit compared to the book. But also she seems other compared to the other kids once we get there. Like, so she doesn't really fit in totally to both her family and later on school. And I think part of that is the hinting with the telekinetic stuff early on, but I also think it's the acting.
Yeah.
And the acting's not horrible, but do you know the backstory of what happened during this movie?
I do, but you should tell our audience anyway.
Yeah. So the actress who plays Matilda,
Mara Wilson,
a
bicon.
Yes. Her mom was going through cancer treatment during this and ended up passing away during the filming of this movie. And she they gave her the option of like leaving the movie without any like major issues contract wise, but she wanted to finish it for her mom in dedication. And she never thought that her mom ended up seeing it like until the end of the movie when the movie was coming out. Danny DeVito told her, like, I was able to show your mom a rough cut of the movie. So her mom did get to see a version of it. So you like finding out, her acting never bothered me as a kid because it just kind of went into the like otherness or outsiderness of Matilda as a character. But watching this as an adult, I'm like, there's something missing behind her eyes in this, and it's because she's going through like the worst thing a kid can go through.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really bother me because I think it just added like an extra touch of sadness.
Yeah.
Which I think works well for Matilda.
It works well for Matilda, definitely.
As a character.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, they're child actors.
Yeah.
You can't, like, you can be like a real jerk about it and be like, I didn't feel the intensity of this and this. And it's like, okay.
I don't want the kids to be that dedicated. I want them to be kids.
Yeah. Like, come on now. Like, I'm sorry. Lavender's line delivery sometimes is hilarious.
She's so cute.
Exactly. She's cute and she's hilarious. Who cares that it's, like, silly?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, not to use the excuse of it's a kid's movie, but sometimes, like, if you're gonna have a kid's movie with an actual kid in it, you gotta accept that they're just gonna do the best they can.
Yep.
I got sidetracked, shockingly. So Trunchbull coming in and talking about how she has a school for like discipline and how she like runs it like so strictly. That's what makes Mr. Wormwood be like, yes, you're going to go to school and you're going to get put in line by this Trunchbull. I've already told her all about how terrible you are. And that again is why I think he's a little bit more clever, and he knows that Matilda has something to do with it. He just can't prove it. And he doesn't have, like you said, he doesn't have the pure intelligence to like actually put it together.
Yeah.
But he knows enough to be like, she's a troublemaker.
Yeah. Yeah. And she, of anyone in their immediate family, she's the only one that pushes back at him ever.
Yeah.
Like, his wife doesn't, his son doesn't. So it's not just like maybe necessarily he knows that something she's up to do with it. It's just like, oh, you're the only one that is not immediately on my side, and that is a threat to my power.
Yeah. Because the other thing is, and I forget if I started to say this earlier, but like Mr. Wormwood in this movie overall he's more of a jerk to me.
He's
like,
not as abusive as the book version, I feel like. I don't know. I'm not saying he's not abusive. They're definitely neglectful, absolutely. Emotionally abusive. But I think less physical than the musical at points, and as well as the book.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely more of a loudmouth jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good choice. Because again, this is a kid's movie, and maybe we don't want to have actual child abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. When she goes to school and we get introduced to the Trunchbull's costume, the details, I, again, didn't pick up on it as a kid. But, like, on her belt buckle are, like, teeth. It is excellent. Excellent. And, like, obviously we talked about, in that book episode, we talked about the illustrations and in general in children's lit, or other children media, how villains are ugly, fat, disabled of some sort, and it's just not great. I will say, I don't think they went as far as they could have with Trunchbull. I think they get a little happy medium here, where she is a shot put, hammer thrower, Olympic or like winning athlete. Yeah. And those folks are going to have bodies like her. So at least, and that's kind of in the book as well, but I think in the movie and the musical, they put more emphasis towards that. And I feel like the body is more appropriate. And I don't think she's as ugly as they could have made her. They just don't have, she just doesn't, not wearing makeup and doesn't have styled hair. You know?
And like they don't even out her tone at all. They give her like a wart on her cheek. And I think that's the biggest piece of like makeup that they do. And I think that, like you said, that's the perfect amount of like that's the perfect amount of like, this is the book character, but we're not going to sit here and give her like a long nose.
Yes.
And make her bigger than she is by having her wear a fat suit. Yeah. Shout out movie musical.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I think.
Or have her played by a man. Shout out musical.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, I think it's a good amount. And it's more of, oh, this character is putting on this clothes and this outfit and doing her hair this way because she wants to put out a certain vibe to the world and a message to the world, less of this person is like this naturally, you know? And that's fine with me. The scene here where she takes poor Amanda by the braids and spins her around, I think this equally scared me to the chokey in the movie, because I had really long hair as a kid, often in braids. Now it's always like someone could pull my braids and throw me across the playground.
I mean, it was always funny because this was like one of the only characters named Amanda I knew.
Yes.
And I was like, dang, that's tough.
Let's talk about the Choki. I know we've referenced it a lot already this episode. The Choki does not exist in the book, correct? I do not remember it.
I think it exists, but I think it's just listed as a punishment. We never see it.
We never see it, yeah.
We never, like...
There's no illustration.
There's no illustration of it. No one's ever threatened with being put in it. But I do think it's brought up with the kid. I have the book in the back of my van. Should I go look?
I'm just going to Google it. It's just mentioned. It's not like no one goes in it and no one gets trapped in it. Okay, so I guess when we were talking about the book, I just didn't pick up on the Choki or like the presence of it. So it's mentioned in passing.
It's really not a big deal.
No. I like the addition of the Choki. It's just a creepy name and it's literally a torturing device. It is terrifying.
Mm-hmm. As a kid that was really into medieval torture methods, it freaked me out because of its resemblance to the Iron Maiden. And I'd sit there and be like, how do they not die? And then how do the parents not care that their kid got killed at school? Mm-hmm. And then, but yeah, so so to emphasize, the Choki in the movie is really built up. You get to see it. It's like this wooden closet with all of these sharp nails and objects pointing in and out of it, and like it legitimately, like,
it's scary.
It's scary. The other thing that they do in this movie is they have a lot of Dutch angles too that help.
Yes.
It's very 90s.
Yes. Yes.
But it does help make it
even scarier. Yeah. And then we meet Miss Honey, and Miss Honey obviously is, we talked about in the book, is one of the most favorited teachers in literature.
Better in the movie.
I think she's better in the movie, but another reason why folks love Miss Honey is because people think she's like one of the hottest teachers ever in movies. It's a big thing. Yes.
Do you want to know a fun story? I thought she was Jennifer Gardner for a really, really long time.
Sometimes you have a bit of face blindness with celebrities, which is like fair because they're celebrities. Whatever.
I mean, like, she does look like Jennifer Gardner.
They're similar. They're brunette women, white women.
Brunette white woman with kind of sharp jawlines.
Yeah.
Not crazy.
No. But Miss Honey, everyone, like, in the zeitgeist, people love Miss Honey because she's hot and also nice.
Weird.
Yeah. When we were talking about Miss Honey and you're talking about you're talking about different educators when you were talking about that in the last episode, in my head I was like, she doesn't know that people think of Miss Honey's hot. I was like, I'll save that for later. So
I mean, I can understand that, but that's a weird vibe. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. But anyways, Miss Honey in the movie, I agree, is better than the book. She's calmer. She isn't too timid like she is in the book. She's just
a nervous wreck.
A nervous wreck. And like she obviously is, she does a good job. The actress does a good job of like balancing, oh, I'm dealing with trauma, but also I'm in charge of children. Like she does a good job balancing that.
And I think the other thing is, the scene where like Matilda gets that emphasis is not as like you don't sit in her head as much.
Yes.
And you also get the impression it's like Matilda's first day at school. So of course she's getting a little bit more attention. Like the other kids already know the routines, know the stuff. And it's a very different vibe than it is when you have a room full of children and you just are like sitting there being like, oh my God, this one child out of all of them is so smart and special. Okay. You got like 20 other kids in here, ma'am. Yeah, so I think Miss Honey is a better teacher. They talk about times tables, and then, you get the scene where she's like, yes, I can do all of this math. I can do all of these things. And then Miss Honey goes up to Trunchbull's office, and we have the same kind of scene where she's like, hey, Matilda's really smart. She needs to be in a higher class. And Trunchbull's like, no.
And she like just straight up bullies Miss Honey. Calls her Jenny, I'm pretty sure here. Yeah. Miss Honey shows up at Matilda's parents' house. Similar to the book, her parents are just like, what do you want?
She's your problem during the day. Go away.
And I love that Miss Honey like sneaks and leaves The Wind in the Willows for Matilda to read. It's like, so you can see already like that Miss Honey cares so much about Matilda here. And it's just like, here's this book. And like, you can also in that little moment, you can see Miss Honey's inner child being like, if I was like this kid, I was trapped. All I wanted was like a book and someone to like care about me a little bit. And you see that here way better than the book. I think that does way better here.
Yes, because I think they say it a little bit explicitly, but not too much. Where like she's like, I know what it's like to grow up in a house where nobody appreciates you.
Yeah,
and like that's the perfect way to say that without trauma dumping on this child.
Yes, absolutely. The next day we had the Bruce cake scene, and this cake scene is iconic. And that cake, you cannot tell me that cake does not look delicious. And I would give my darnest to eat that whole cake. And then we have a moment of the kids unionizing here and all cheering for Bruce again. We love it.
And interestingly, Matilda's the one that starts the chant here.
Yes.
And that's not and that doesn't happen in the book. Like, it's somebody random.
She's definitely braver in this and the musical as well, but she's definitely braver in the movie, I think. Yeah. And then the kids all have to stay 5 hours late for detention.
Yeah. And then she comes home and her parents are mad and she sees the like FBI out there.
Yeah.
But it's also so funny that her parents are mad. It's because it's like, if she had been home, you would have just been ignoring her.
Because her dad's getting all those illegal car parts in the mail and someone needs to be there to take them inside so no one catches these wrapped like their car parts packages. Like you needed to be home. That's why they care. The only reason they care is that she had a chore to do for them. For the money. Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
But the mom's like home a lot more in this one too.
And the mom's home. Well, the mom's at bingo still. She's only home when she's flirting with those speedboat salesmen, which is what the FBI agents tell her, and she believes them. And it cracks me up. We'll get to that part later. I love seeing all those kids run around in the stream in the woods playing, and then they find that little newt. So cute.
It is so cute. And then Lavender wants to show Miss Honey so bad, and then poor Miss Honey, like, rushes in and is like, hey, Trunchbull's going to be teaching the class. Get all of your stuff together. We have to take down everything colorful and everything fun. Yada, 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 yada.
Oh, yeah. Before Trunchbull comes in, Matilda's put in the chokey because her dad's put sawdust in Trunchbull's car.
Yeah, and so the car is falling apart, and Trunchbull's mad about it, and so she punishes Matilda.
Yeah. And then we have Lavender puts the newt in the water while Miss Honey sneaks up and gets Matilda out of the chokey. And then...
She comes back to a kid being held upside down and being shaken.
Yes.
And I'm like... How old are these children supposed to be? I know
Trunchbull's that strong.
No, but it says...
Stay swole, get swole, never not be swole.
No. I am not questioning Trunchbull's ability to do this. What I'm questioning is, like... How old are they supposed to be?
They're supposed to be like 6.5.
Okay, so she just took a 6.5-year-old, and the kid's head is like this much off of the ground? That's like not tall enough. Too tall. Too tall.
Maybe the stuntman was too tall. Because the stuntman was probably an adult.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean they didn't actually shake a child? Life ruined. Movie magic ruined.
And... as Trunchbull is bullying Matilda, we have the telekinetic water bit, and Matilda uses her brain to knock over the water, and does she drink the newt? Oh, this is earlier. She drinks the newt water.
She drinks the newt water. She clocks that Miss Honey like released Matilda from the chokey, and she's like, "Oh, you getting really brave."
Yeah.
And then she drinks the water out of the thing, and that's when she blames Matilda.
Yeah. And then after school that day is when Matilda goes to Miss Honey's little shed, and Miss Honey tells her a story about a girl who lived in the house they passed by with someone named the Trunchbull, and Matilda really quickly is like, oh, that was you. Matilda and Miss Honey go into the Trunchbull's house to go get the doll. And they sneak through.
And they stop in the living room and note that the portrait's gone, and Miss Honey has to go sneak a little chocolate.
And she's a fool and doesn't put the lid on correctly, like a sneaky person should. Yeah. As someone who used to sneak candies from her mom. You got to
Yeah.
cover the evidence.
I mean, she does say that they count it, that the Trunchbull would count it, so that I don't know how many times she actually snuck the candy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they get the doll upstairs, and it has all the stuff that, like her dad's portrait, a bunch of other stuff.
A lot of like child stuff.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell like the house, wherever Miss Trunchbull isn't living her day-to-day life, is just kind of a mess. Because once Trunchbull comes back, because her car has broken down, of course, they're trying to like run through the house and run away from her, and Matilda goes through this back stairwell that is just covered with like just old pots and pans, and just like it's essentially like a junk drawer, but it's a stairwell.
Yeah.
And she's hiding in the kitchen, and she hides under a table, and as the Trunchbull's like hunting them through this house, essentially, there's this bit where you see the silhouette of the Trunchbull's head through the tablecloth, and it mimics the moment in Jurassic Park where the Velociraptors do that. And there's a later moment in this movie where there's another Jurassic Park like scene for scene reference, and I really appreciated it.
Oh, is that why they did that scene where like Matilda's around the corner and she's like peeking and like?
I mean, that's just scary stuff.
Yeah,
I mean they do that in Jurassic Park, yes, but that's not the one I'm thinking of.
It's less of a reference.
That's just good.
How do you know it's a reference?
How I know if it's a reference? Because they mentioned it online when I read it, and I also was like, this looks just like Jurassic Park when I was watching.
I mean, fair enough.
And then when I was looking at info, they're like, yeah, Danny DeVito likes Jurassic Park, and use it as parts of references.
Very fair.
Because it's an excellent movie that you should one day watch.
I definitely should watch it one day.
Yes, it's good. I just got it at Goodwill, so I have the DVD if you ever want to borrow a DVD.
I will think about it greatly. Yeah, so after this horror movie of a scene where they're like being chased through the house by Trunchbull, like they finally make their way to the basement and they break out, and Miss Honey like says to Matilda like, promise me you won't ever go in that house again. And Matilda's like, yes, of course I won't.
I will never step foot inside.
Yes.
The chase scene is spooky, and I like that they didn't back away from making Trunchbull scary throughout this. Like, obviously, like we talked about, the chokey, terrifying, torture device. Like, but still, outside of the chokey and just her demeanor, Trunchbull is terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like there's a inclination, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but there's an inclination to make characters ridiculous in certain things. And then they kind of, it's like, yes, but if you want us to be scared of her, we need to be scared of her.
Yeah, and they do a good job of that. And like we do find out her one like flaw is that she is superstitious.
And I like that too, because it makes everything else make a lot more sense,
Yes.
especially once we get into the revenge part of the story.
Yeah.
And like, because in the book it's like, you mean this lady saw her name get written on the chalkboard and ran away forever?
When Matilda gets back to her house, her mom's talking to the boat salesmen, which are the FBI agents. And I never noticed as a kid because they're holding like a toy boat as if that's like a model for what they're selling. But really, the mom's just flirting with these men because she's bored and lonely, and vapid. But but also, this time watching it again for the first time since I was a kid. One of the salesmen that's holding the boat is holding a very obviously a tape recorder recording their conversation right next to it as the mom's like, we got money in banks all over the place, like just like bragging about it. And in my head I was like, I always just thought that she was just being silly, which she is, but I really like how obvious they're being that these FBI cops also aren't doing their job well. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good thing that they're after this particular set of villains.
Yes.
And even then, Matilda's like, Mom, they're cops. And then, you know, nobody takes Matilda seriously.
Yeah.
Then Mr. Wormwood comes in and he's like, what is this, a hot tub party?
Yeah. Her dad and Matilda get in an argument because he calls her like, don't be a smart aleck, because she's just talking back to him essentially.
Yeah.
And this is where she like practices using she realizes her like telekinetic powers, and she does something here.
Okay. So like the dad and the mom are arguing.
Yes.
And then Matilda's trying to figure out what triggers her powers. So she yells at her dad, hey,
Yes.
yell at me.
Yes.
Yell at me. And he's like, what? I'll yell at you, like, yeah, da, 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 da. And then
Yeah.
she shuts the door and locks it with her
Yes.
head. And that's how she starts to, like,
Yeah.
figure out her powers.
And then we have one of the best training montages in all film history. Rocky has nothing on this, where we have the iconic "Bitty Little Pretty One,"
I thought it was
that
the
song,
same.
and the oh, that song.
Yeah.
And then like she's training and like dancing around the living room, and all the really fun like special effects they're using up everything dancing around. I love this scene. I wished I had secret powers just to recreate this scene as a kid. I loved it. A little behind the scenes, the actress, her name,
Mara Wilson.
thank you. Mara was super anxious and shy about dancing
Aw.
in this scene, which understandable. And so what Danny DeVito did is he had every crew member and every cast member around dance outside the camera, so everyone was dancing during this scene to make her
that's so
comfortable. Isn't that so cute? Yeah,
That's good.
I know. I know.
She was like 8, right?
She was little, yeah, but she had just done Miracle on 34th Street right
Yeah.
before this, so she was in the child acting world at this moment pretty well known.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matilda, this part I liked because, like, obviously Matilda does not like her parents, but they're also still her parents, so she still has like this like innate loyalty to them. So as the FBI cops are breaking the law and entering without a warrant into the
Correct.
garage, Matilda starts moving the box of evidence they're trying to steal illegally. And one, it's a good bit because it points, look at these adults, they're being so stupid. But also it shows that Matilda cares about her family enough to at least give her dad some more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, frankly, she can tell that if they get caught, God knows what's going to happen to her, and she wants to help solve Miss Honey's problem
Yes.
first.
Yes.
So, and I think it's also a really clever way of showing us like how her powers are growing too, because yes, we saw the training montage,
Mm-hmm.
but she literally like makes the car go across the street.
She turns the brake off the car as it
Yes.
rolls down the hill. And then that night she goes back to during a storm, she goes back to Trunchbull's house, and she doesn't go in the house because she promised Miss Honey she would not take a step inside the house. So she climbs up on some awning and uses her telekinetic powers to get the doll.
And she uses her powers to scare Trunchbull by like floating down the painting down the stairs and knocking her portrait of her winning the Olympics like into the fire. It's really cool.
It's a good little revenge bit, and it's spooky outside, and Trunchbull's terrified, and then at this point she gets the chocolates out of the window, and then she slams the window shut, and that's when Trunchbull runs to the window, and this is the Jurassic Park moment. Trunchbull like puts her face, like her profile of her face, up to the window and is looking, and there's a bunch of like a breath of air condensation on the window. The Velociraptors do exactly that. And that's the moment I was like, the earlier kitchen scene was just like Jurassic Park, and then I was like, Google, da 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 da. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I thought that was just so
I just
fun.
thought it was being goofy.
I mean, a little bit, because it shows kind of how goofy Trunchbull really is.
Yeah.
But also, it's
Yes.
spooky.
Oh, she goes out to her car to try to run away, and she finds a ribbon.
And then the next day when Matilda shows Miss Honey the doll, Matilda says something similar to "No more Miss Nice Girl." And I was like, what a silly thing to say. But also, that is something a kid who heard like all these different movies would say that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it's genuine, but it's a little cringy.
Yeah, it's so cringy. I mean, like,
Yeah.
children are cringy.
Trunchbull's like a little frazzled, right? Because she had all the
Yes.
superstitious.
She had all the
Freak out.
superstitious stuff. She knows that something's going on with
Yeah.
this particular class. She's hidden, like, Miss Honey's hiding the doll behind her back and, like, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then Miss Trunchbull is like, somebody had a red ribbon in their hair.
Yeah, and doesn't have it today.
and doesn't
yes.
have it today. And I can't tell, and maybe you can tell me. Does she actually not know, or is she just trying to make a kid confess?
She's trying to make a kid confess.
Okay.
She's using it as threatening. She's saying, I know the information, so you better tell me to make it less bad for you before you lie. Also, during this interrogation scene when Trunchbull's like bullying the kids, Miss Honey is like starting to like intervene finally. And Trunchbull says to her, she's like, I broke your arm once before. I can do it again. It's like, whoa, that is intense.
And she's like, I'm not 7 years old. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we have the chalk writing stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really fun. And if you're wondering how they did the chalk special effects, they had a magnet on the other side, and they were tracing the same thing written backwards. Someone was tracing it.
Oh,
That's really fun,
That is
huh?
really cool. I
Yeah.
actually had to cover my ears because chalk and chalk. Yeah.
It's a gross sound.
And also, it's really scary because these kids, like, unprompted, are just sitting there reading it out. And it's like,
It's spooky.
Agatha, give my bumblebee, or whatever it is, her house back. Like it's just because she knows all of it's not just enough that she knows, like, Miss Honey's first name.
Yeah.
She also knows, like,
The nickname.
and, like,
his name
and all of this stuff that just adds up, and then adding to the stuff from the previous day. Of course Trunchbull's figured out, and then she kind of, like, loses her composure, and she tries to throw a kid out the window in anger, and then Matilda, like, catches them. Is that right?
Yeah, she, like, reroutes the kid to like,
and so,
safely.
Like, safely, and then Trunchbull, like, gets a very similar treatment, so then she, like, runs out the hall.
And the kids pelt her with food.
Yeah, again, completely unprompted, and it's like, I mean, honestly, I also would leave town and never ever come back after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens then is, they do a little voiceover narration of Miss Honey got her house. Miss Trunchbull was never seen
yes,
again.
yes, you're right.
And then Matilda got put in an age-appropriate class, in a, like, intelligence-appropriate class. And then she went over to Miss Honey's all the time.
And drinking tea.
And drinking tea and all this yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And that's when the parents show up at Miss Honey's house.
Yeah, because they're going to Guam because they got found out.
Which is also hilarious because, Guam is a U.S. territory.
Yeah.
And you're running from the U.S.
And Matilda's like, I have the adoption papers in my backpack the whole time. And also, we don't need a notary or a judge. Apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly like, so when her parents inevitably get caught in Guam, because, Guam is part of the United States, somebody else has legal custody of her, or like legal guardianship at least.
Yeah.
There's probably, like, a lot more to it.
There's a lot more to it.
It's not that deep.
But it wraps up the story.
It's also nice because I think this is the only version of the story that I've seen where her mom is like, wait, but we can't just give her up like that, and then gives up easily because she doesn't actually care. But
yeah,
they
put the pretense there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a pretense.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I really like that Miss Honey picks Matilda up, so it mimics that illustration that's in the book.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really sweet. And it's just, and they have a happily ever after, living their best life, wearing the, like, super 90s fun clothes, doing, like, homeschool artsy shit just around the city, just, like, I don't know, they're just having a great time frolicking.
And she still has her magic powers, which is in the book, she loses her powers, but in the movie, she keeps them.
Yes. Do you want to hear some fun facts before we dive into whether or not this is a good adaptation or not?
Yes.
Okay. I already told a lot of these, but the picture of Magnus, the portrait of Magnus, is actually a portrait of Roald Dahl.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Pam Ferris, who played Trunchbull, tried to stay in character as much as possible when not recording to make sure that the kids were still scared of her, to make sure that like fear was, like, help them act, essentially, which I think, as far as someone, what's that kind of acting called?
Method acting.
Thank you. As far as method acting goes, I feel like that's an appropriate place to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like method acting when it's stuff about, like, maintaining those relationships in and out of character so that you can, like, help with that part of it.
Yeah, it makes sense in this context, yeah. When they're having the tea at the very end, Matilda is reading a book, or not reading a book, she is reading a book, and it says something about mice having this many heartbeats a minute or whatever. That's a direct quote from Witches.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was fun. And then earlier in the movie, when Miss Honey asks Matilda what she's been reading, and Matilda says Dolls, Chickens instead of Charles Dickens, that's a reference to the BFG, because the BFG Miss says Charles Dickens, he says Dolls, Chickens all the time. Mara designed Matilda's little doll that she had and named her Wanda, so, like, she was able to...
The red-haired one?
The little red-headed doll that was kind of like a homemade looking doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
precious.
this movie was produced by Roald Dahl's second wife, Felicity Dahl. Yeah. So those are the fun facts. the question, Amanda, and I think I know the answer, is this a good adaptation?
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
Hands down.
that's kind of a really easy question here.
Yeah.
Like, it does exactly what an adaptation, especially for a kid's book, should do. It takes the story, it embellishes in different places, it cuts out some of the more less interesting bits, let's say, and it makes it into a fun, engaging story throughout.
Yeah. And I think I agree wholeheartedly. And I was thinking about it of like, why specifically does this movie do such a great job of an adaptation? And I think for me with the book, reading it, there was a lot of disjointedness between, we talked a lot about the first half of the book versus the second half. And this version of Matilda, we see her mess with Miss Trunchbull so much more that we kind of see the earlier of her messing with her original bully, her father.
Yes.
Kind of like that. That's the training really that goes later on. You know what I mean?
And there's also that element of, there's those hints to those powers as well.
Yeah.
And then like having stuff like the FBI plot and like Miss Trunchbull buying a car from Matilda's dad.
Yeah.
It just creates a more cohesive part.
Yeah.
Because there's links to what happens in the beginning as the story continues. So, I think they do a good job of making it much more cohesive.
I agree.
And less episodic.
Yeah. It's a great movie. I think I gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd.
Nice.
Excellent.
I think it's a great adaptation. And the other thing that I think it does, because Roald Dahl, because he's British, has an inherent cynicism when he writes.
Yes.
And I think the movie does a good job of matching that cynicism, but then also capturing the whimsy at the same time.
Yeah, it's that weird British, like mid 20th century Britishness of whimsy and also cynicism. That it's like
like there's no other word for it.
Yeah.
It's just this like life sucks and then you die. Ain't that great?
Yeah, yeah, no. All right, let's talk about the musical Matilda, and Amanda's going to talk about the musical Matilda, and I'm going to put a stopwatch on
because I
just to time it, just to see.
Let me know when you started.
Ready, go.
She doesn't believe that I can keep this under 10 minutes. So my thing with Matilda the Musical, first of all, if you haven't listened to it, you probably should. It's good. It's a good musical. No, it's not, actually. I hate it. But I really like the soundtrack. I hate Matilda the Musical. It is one of my least favorite...
production.
The stage production. It is one of my least favorite things I've ever seen. And granted, I think there's a couple of things that go into that. The first one being, I had just read like Stephen Sondheim's book, and he had talked about how an opening number sets the scene. And I have beef with this opening number, man. I have such beef with it. And it makes me really mad, but we're not going to get into it because I'm going to keep focused. Then the other thing that I think is going against this production is in the production itself, they have Trunchbull be played by a man. And on the cast recording, you notice, but it's not like it's not one of those aha, it's so funny because it's a man in a dress jokes. But the stage production that I saw that was on tour, 100%, the actor kept playing it up and playing it up and playing it up, and I was like, dude, what? And then to make all of this worse, the audio mixing of the show itself was so bad from where we saw it, because we saw it at the Kennedy Center in the National Theater. And which, if you don't know, there's two theaters. There's the Eisenhower Theater and then the Opera House. We were in the Eisenhower Theater. So small black box, not like actual black box, but not as cool. Anyway, not the point. The point is when we saw it, I couldn't hear anything. So I could only make out like the words that I already knew. And also the other thing is Matilda's one of those shows that I had heard a lot of the music from it, but I had never ever actually like sat down and listened to it top to bottom. So a lot of the like context that I had put together in my head of where these songs were taking place, I was so wrong about, and I was like, mine is better. Just flat out, mine's better. And I feel like anything else that I have to say about this musical, we can kind of say as we're talking about this actual show, because I'll bring it up when we talk about the movie. But yeah, That apparently that's a big secret. I really hate this musical as a stage musical.
It was just funny the way that you said that you're like, I really like this musical. Wait, just kidding. I hate this musical because you meant the music.
Yeah.
And I have seen the movie musical twice now. And I've never seen a stage production of Matilda, but I did listen to it today. And I will say the songs that the movie musical did not include, I did not miss because I was listening to them and I was like, okay. And like, they're fine.
I think,
but yeah,
like the Miss Honey songs, I do miss a little bit, but even it's fine without it.
Yeah.
You don't miss anything huge.
Yeah.
And also, thank God they cut Matilda's brother.
Yes.
From the movie, and I'm like, every day, thank you to whoever made that decision, because God, it's so uncomfortable in the musical.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, for those keeping track, that was 3.5 minutes.
And she doubted me.
I feel like with the amount of time I've listened to you rant about musicals, I feel like it's fair. My doubt is well placed. Thank you very much. Okay, let's dive into the Matilda the movie musical. I've only seen this twice, once when it came out and then once this morning. And I really like this movie musical.
This movie is so good.
It's a solid, like, actually a really good movie musical, I think.
And I think part of its success is it doesn't shy away from the fact that it's a musical. Like, it doesn't... They openly will have characters just, like, be singing in front of other people and not make it into, like, this big, elaborate, well, how are they getting away with singing? And no, they're just singing. Get over it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they do that is so smart and makes me forgive everything else about them, like, anything else, any other beef I might have with it, is in that opening number, they cut to the actual babies. Because for those of you who haven't seen the stage show, it's basically like a collection of small child actors acting as obnoxiously as they can on stage to show off how parents think their children are miracles. And I'm like, okay, but this doesn't make any sense because the whole cohesive theme of the musical is about the magic of childhood. That's what you're going for. And you're deliberately fighting against your opening number the whole time. The whole time.
I think of all the songs, I think my least favorite is the opening number. But at least in the movie musical, visually, it's so fun because it's in this crazy bright hospital. There's people. The choreography is fun. Throughout this movie does a great job of choreographing the dancing, especially considering most of the ensemble are children.
Yes.
And children, as much as talented as they can be, are not going to be as talented as a trained adult ensemble member who's been training their whole life.
Yes. Right?
There's just a different level of talent that adults can eventually reach. And I think they do a really good job of the choreography. The kids are great dancers, and the way they film and cut to different angles really advances the amount of dancing and how the actors dance throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the best why this movie is so good is that it's the filming of the dancing. Because yes, you have to have a suspension of disbelief when you watch any sort of musical, but a movie that is so full of kid actors and kid dancers, you have to have a little extra oomph, and they brought it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the big difference, like I said, they have, instead of having these obnoxious little children sing and have their parents sit there and obsess over how great they are, and you're supposed to laugh at how ridiculous it is, it's a bunch of parents cooing over their newborn baby child. And it's like, yeah, of course they're like over the moon and sitting there thinking, yes, my 2-year-old she's 2 days old and she smiled. Is that making her ahead? Sure, buddy.
I really liked it, though. I mean, I know the doctor in the musical itself probably has more of a song, but like he has like this little breakout moment and you're like, what is this doctor here for? But then he ends up talking to Matilda's mom, who is like obviously in her 3rd trimester, and is like, what do you mean I'm pregnant?
Yeah.
You know, that whole bit, which again, funny. And we're back to Britishness.
We're back to very Britishness. I think they do. I mean, it's very, very British.
Yes.
I didn't notice that much, but also.
Oh, I did.
It's the British coded of it all, isn't it?
No, I think you've watched it or listened to it enough that it's
it doesn't sink in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the Doctor's little solo bit. It is.
I mean, he's talented. It's just like goes like, okay, this Doctor we see once.
Yeah, this Doctor that we see once gets this huge breakout moment song.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Where he sings about how like he loves bringing life into this world because it's a miracle.
I'm glad you like your job, bud.
Like, and again, in the stage show, it's even worse because it's fighting the tone of the first couple like stanzas and moments, and it's like, why would you do this? I get that you're referencing the first part of the book where he talks about how, like, teachers wish that they could tell their kids that their kids are stupid.
Yeah.
But, like, that doesn't work here. You're in a musical.
Yeah. And then after we get through the first number, we meet Matilda.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. The other part about the number is after all of these songs of these little tiny babies, first of all, they use all kinds of babies. They use, like, babies that have Down syndrome. They have used babies that are, like, not 100% perfect. And it's nice. Second of all, after all these kids come in and sing about how my mommy says I'm a miracle, Matilda's last verse is my mommy says I'm a lousy little worm and that kids like me should be against the law. Just immediately setting up that interaction. Now I'm done. Sorry.
It's good. We meet Matilda, and she is at a traveling library, and I like this change here where she's not. It's more of a countryside, smaller British town, and we have this fun little set piece of the traveling library, and then the librarian who's just a fun like adult in her life, but the librarian is always asking small questions about her family. Whereas in the book, we're like, why isn't this librarian doing much? This is the first adult that's not her parents. Where in this one, she's like, and as the musical goes on, she's more and more like, hey, eventually she goes, hey, we should call the police. she ramps up. And I really liked that touch.
Yes. And it's so much better than the musical where like the librarian talks about how Matilda's parents suck. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, ma'am, so not only do you know her parents suck, she comes here all the time and no one's ever asked after her. And you are not reporting this. What is wrong with you? Like, and here, it makes perfect sense. She's trying to get Matilda to open up, but Matilda refuses to say anything.
Yeah.
Which, you know, again, is fair. She's a child.
Yeah. The actress who plays Matilda in this is a star.
She ate.
No
use
crumbs.
The slang.
No crumbs.
Honestly, like, the whole cast in this movie eats.
It's great.
It's
casting.
amazing.
Yeah.
There is not a single actor in here where I'm like, eh.
Yeah, I agree. And then another difference here is we meet Miss Honey and a random man as they're doing a home check because Matilda hadn't started school, like a truancy kind of situation, which I think is interesting. I understand that they need her to get to school fast because the musical, like they're spending less time at the beginning, which I understand. But this man we never see again. And also the school later is like very like we don't care about kids because of the whole Trunchbull of it all. Then why in this moment do they care about kids? You know what I mean? That I was like, what?
To me, what that is it's a couple of things. One, as a school that is probably receiving funds from the actual country.
Yeah.
I don't know how UK works, but you know, they have to do something.
Well, yeah, if it was the US, that made sense, but I was like, this school wouldn't exist. You know, like, you can't use too much logic.
No,
you know what I mean?
It just makes sense to me. Because, like, you know, like, truancy, the Trunchbull probably would want all the kids in the area under her control.
I mean, I guess, but she also doesn't want kids to exist.
Yes, but if they're going to exist, she might as well try to implement that kind of discipline and bullying.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just
think it's also cute because, like, Miss Honey tries to talk to Matilda and, like, connect with her, and, like, Matilda's like, adult, I don't know.
Yeah.
You mean I get to read?
I think it's less of adult, I don't know. It's more of, like, the adults in my life suck, so I assume every adult sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, like, literally one adult that doesn't suck right now.
Yeah.
And again, also, thank God they cut Michael. I'm sorry. Michael on the stage is just awful.
I mean, he's barely in the book or the movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, so in the stage, they take what's in the, like, movie and book and they amp it up so that instead of just being there and kind of, like, vaguely antagonistic, he's clearly got a mental disability. And you're supposed to sit there and laugh about how dumb he is. like that part in the Telly song where it's like, Michael, take it away. He just stands there. And in the version I saw, they had him grunt out Telly like a whole bunch of times. And so, yeah, no, thank God they cut out Michael.
Yeah. So the dad ends up signing Matilda back up for school once they realize they have to do that, and is yelling at Matilda, right? Cause,
like, you made me get a fine, and this and
Yeah.
this and this and
Yeah.
this and this and this.
And this is what leads into the song Naughty, which is one of the better songs. And my first thing with this is when American school productions do Matilda, because they do them often, because it makes sense, there's a ton of kids in it, so put kids in it.
It's also very female-centric.
Yes. So it's a great school play to do. But my question is, this, especially specifically the song, is so British with the pronunciations. Do you think most American schools are having their kids do fake accents? I doubt
Probably.
it. Maybe the Matilda does. Maybe all the key players do, but maybe not the ensemble. But I was thinking if you were to listen to Naughty, the song, in an American accent, the rhymes don't end up working. And I'm just like, I want to hear that.
It's even funnier, like, because Tim Minchin is the guy who did the music, yeah. And he also did Groundhog Day, the musical. And he does the exact same thing, where the rhymes barely work in English.
Yeah.
And they have to, like, stretch their pronunciation.
They barely work in English?
Yeah, that's what I said.
What do you mean, though? Like British English or American English?
They barely work in American English.
Okay.
And it's worse because it's actually set in America.
Yeah.
So.
Because he's probably British.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's British.
Yeah, that makes sense then. I love the song, and this is when she pranks her dad and dyes his hair green, which I think is fun because then he's super tan and he looks like a little Oompa Loompa, which of course is referenced to another Roald Dahl thing, and I thought that was a fun little touch. You know,
yeah.
just a little silly
And then
bit.
she does the same thing where she hands him the hat and it's like glued on. And of course he doesn't notice it until the end of the day. And by that point, of course, he's forgotten about everything.
Yeah.
My other favorite little touch is after she does that little hair dye prank, he runs upstairs to like go yell at her because he thinks that she's behind it, and she has snuck back into her bed and looks fast asleep. And it's like,
she's way more sneakier here. She's way more vindictive to her parents, I feel like, than in the movie. I also, let's talk about her parents here. I think both these actors do a good job. I think the actor who plays her dad, he does a great job, but he has those really fake veneers that are really clicky clacky, and that is such a like British thing to like make fun of someone who is outwardly fake and presenting this thing. It's not just like, if you want to have veneers in life, have veneers. That is just your body, your choice. But the like super fake cheap veneers that are just like not even the full process, just like the ones you can get really cheap, and they make him talk really funny, and it just cracks me up. And I love his acting through the veneers, and he's doing a great job.
yeah, because he always has his teeth open. They cut out the mom subplot in this, which again, thank you.
That's the one thing I was like, when I was listening to the song, I was like, the mom's getting a lot more, like, she's like a part of a dance thing. And I was like, she doesn't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that.
It's so stupid. It's quite like literally Rodolfo is there, and it's a whole character about like he just stands there on stage, and his entire purpose is to dance with the mom, and that's his entire characterization. It's bonkers.
Then we have another big change from the book and the movie, which this is in the stage play. But Matilda tells Miss Phelps, the librarian, a story of an escapologist and an acrobat. And this part, I remember when I first watched the movie, when it first came out, I was like, this is dumb. Why do we need to have this extra bits? But by the end of the story, at the end of the movie, I was like, I love this choice. This is wild. Wild. It is the like, it's the really intense, dark whimsy that like Roald Dahl has, you know?
Yeah, and I think the problem with Matilda the Musical is it's too ambitious to be on stage.
Yes. I could not imagine a lot of this on stage.
It's just a lot of like quite literally, this story is told with like dolls, and Matilda's holding it up to a curtain, and that's how they do it. And it's just it's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not actually. It's really stupid. And I'm just sitting here thinking, ma'am, why haven't you called Child Protective Services on this kid?
She's close to doing it,
She's close.
I mean, most of the time Matilda's there, she's reading, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Matilda, during the scene, says something to the likes of, if scary people do scary things to you, you can do scary things back. And I'm just like, damn, this kid needs some trauma therapy.
Yes,
ASAP.
intensely. And that does have a little bit more payoff in the musical than it does in the movie musical, and I'll talk about that at the end. But
yeah,
because Miss Phelps then jumps in and is like, well, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And she's like, but 2 wrongs do make a right.
But if you do 2 wrongs in order to make a right thing or a wrong thing right or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but it's like essentially you see the Matilda's like, no, I see bad people do bad things all the time. But if I do bad things in order to stop bad people, then I'm good. It's like, it's solid kid logic.
It's solid kid logic.
Yeah, especially
It's
a kid going
great.
through this sort of
This
neglect
kind of,
and
like,
abuse. Yeah.
Because her parents, they're not as... No, they're pretty awful.
They're pretty awful.
I mean, her mom's, like, more awful in this one, where she's more explicitly like, oh, you suck, you suck, you suck, you ruined my life.
Yeah. She gets to school and she meets Lavender, and Lavender's name is Isaac. Just had to point that out.
And they're both the 2 new kids, and so, like, then we get the school song, which
the choreography.
Red Beret Girl, we stan, we salute.
She's Hortensia. That's Hortensia.
Yes.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's a great actress, great lines.
Dancer. She's dancing with a broken arm, which hurts.
Yes. The choreograph of all the school kids, every time I'm like fully engaged and I'm like, yes, extras, get your money. I love this. Yes.
Because that's the other thing that I think this musical understood is the reason why this works so well as a movie musical is I already said that it's not ashamed to be a musical. It also knows to let the ensemble eat.
Yes.
Because the ensemble is such a core piece of a musical. And that's the problem with a lot of movie musicals is they skim over it.
Yeah. And I really like the school song where they have the alphabet parts. They do it in a very clever way. Like, they don't rely solely on the dancing or solely on the cinematography. They do a really good job of balancing them together and playing together, especially with the hallway. If you think about how, I mean, obviously they're doing movie magic as far as perspective, but how little room in a hallway there is for dancing. They do such a great job of like figuring out where to put all the kids jumping in and out. It just, I love it.
And it's also really cool because they have it go through, like, they have, and again, this is another thing about movie musicals in general, is figuring out how to make these pieces more dynamic. In the musical, it's like they're at the gates of the school.
Yeah.
And things light up.
I can see, for how extravagant this movie gets, I can see how it would really be a struggle for a stage production to do it. Lashana Lynch.
Yeah, she's really good in this.
She's just really good. She plays a great Miss Honey, a very, like, demure Miss Honey. It's, like, the word I want to use. But she's, like, very, like, quiet. And you can tell, like, that she's had a lot of drama and trauma in her life when she acts. But also she does brighten up when she's with the kids. And, like, she does a good...
She does a good job of capturing, like, what Miss Honey is,
Yeah.
which is essentially a traumatized child in an abusive situation who has grown up to decide that she wants to be there for the children and doesn't quite know how.
Yeah. And she's Maria Rambo. Then we meet Miss Trunchbull, played by Emma Thompson, who I love.
And then the other thing I love about the Emma Thompson piece of this is her surveillance of the school comes from this huge camera system. That's how she keeps an eye on everybody. And, like, when she has her face reveal, I think it's after the school's, like, in this scene.
Yeah,
And in the stage musical, this is where Miss Honey sings her little song, Pathetic. And I like it, but you don't need it.
They reference it when Miss Honey goes to knock on the door and says, don't be pathetic.
Yeah. And I think that's enough.
Yeah. So Miss Trunchbull, we talked, earlier about the portrayal of Miss Trunchbull, especially as far as making villains fat, ugly, or just othered. I think here, obviously Emma Thompson's wearing a fat suit because Emma Thompson is a small lady.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, like, Emma Thompson does a great job with acting and the singing and the choreography. So I don't think she's like miscast, because also they needed a bigger name too, and a British name. So I think it's a good casting. And I don't think people should be wearing fat suits with very specific other reasons, which we can also talk about later in this movie. But I don't know, because like Miss Trunchbull in Emma Thompson's frame body would not be this frightening. We need, maybe it's not really a fat suit. It's more like, I mean, she's not fat in here. She's just muscly because she has to be a thick hammer thrower, Olympian.
Yeah.
Like no Olympian's gonna have the body of Emma Thompson.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I made that crack earlier. It doesn't bother me as much.
It doesn't bother me as much. I think with Emma Thompson, the thing that does bother me with her portrayal, not her, but like their choices, is the nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they do.
Yeah.
They make it look like the more like the illustration, which means that they make it long and pointy. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Haven't we realized as a society how bad this image looks for people?
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah. But she does a great job as Miss Trunchbull.
Yes.
Love her.
And then she gets her first little song where she sings about how she throws the hammer.
Which is, I think this is my second least favorite song.
That's so fair.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just my, like if I'm going to rank all the songs in the movie, this is my second least favorite.
That's super fair.
Yeah.
I like this song, if only for like the casual intimidation that she does for both the kids and for Miss Honey of like, sing children.
No, yeah.
And
It's
then-
just, it's scary.
Yeah, it's good.
Matilda and her dad argue because she's talking back. He tries to rip up the book, but he does it in a silly way.
Yeah.
And then he ends up ripping up the book. But like, again, I like when they make the parents look not just mean, but also just
Silly and stupid.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he throw her in her room
That's
later.
But yeah, he does. We get the Choky chant, which I forgot about this one. This one else is probably this one, the Hammer and Miracle are my bottom three songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
this is barely even a song.
It's a chant.
And again, this is something that's better in the movie because you can actually go out and see the Choky as opposed to the shadows and light trick that they use to portray the Choky in the stage musical.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. I'm sorry. If you like Matilda the stage musical, I'm sorry that I'm being so mean to it, but also get better taste. I don't mean that. I do a little bit,
I think
actually.
you do mean it. I really like here where we have the kid Nigel who's been framed, whether or not he did or did not do whatever prank on Miss Trunchbull, and they hide him under the blankets, and Matilda's like, he has narcolepsy, and like she stands up for him, and I really like that we see this Matilda specifically be ridiculously brave when she doesn't need to, like, because we see her always standing off with her dad, like she's always like, talking back immediately, like she doesn't back down, and we see that here, and I think it works really well. But also, specifically, it works really well with her and Miss Honey's relationship.
Yes.
Because you can see slowly, the more they hang out, that Miss Honey gets braver and braver because she's like, this girl is being headstrong in the best way, you know, and sticking up to bullies.
And she's doing what I never could as a kid, and I don't want to see that spark get snuffed.
Yes.
And my favorite part is how she is getting all the other kids in on it too. Like she's inspiring that kind of bravery.
She's a union organizer.
She's a union organizer. She gets everyone to say yes. He's been sleeping there for an hour. He couldn't have possibly done that prank.
Yeah. And then Trunchbull throws Amanda with the braids again.
Yep. I wish I could tell you whether or not I had pigtails as a kid, but like I don't think I could have sat still long enough for my mom to do it. I think the closest I got was ponytails.
Checks out. Matilda tells Miss Phelps more of the story, and the acrobats get longer and longer. And this part is she introduces a character of the evil stepsister who looks very similar to Miss Trunchbull. And this is like where we start to think, okay, is Matilda, like as someone who had not listened to the musical, not seen the stage production, watching this for the first time, I remember when I first watched it, I was like, okay, is she changing the story to add in her bully to then get destroyed, or is it something else? And I think they do a really good job, at least in the movie, like teasing that through and not making it super obvious.
Yes, because I feel like you could really go either way with that particular part of it. Up until like the last bit where it's revealed, you know, it's revealed what's revealed. But basically, the story of the acrobats, there's these two acrobats. Sorry, there's an acrobat, an escapologist.
Escapologist.
What she said. And then the thing is, right before Matilda starts telling this story, is her dad makes a reference to an escapologist.
Yes.
And in that, like, these two people, they fall in love, they want kids, and they have trouble conceiving. So they keep coming up with these ridiculous, dangerous stunts. Mm-hmm. And then it's revealed that the wife is pregnant. Mm-hmm. Right before they're about to do this really big, dangerous stunt with a ridiculous name.
Yeah.
And then the stepsister's like, no, I've spent all this money on this. You're not allowed to back out.
And you signed a contract.
You signed a contract. And it's like, guys, I'm pretty sure that's not how contracts work. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I think they do a really good job as well as we get more and more of that little weird B-plot line of, like, Matilda either being the voiceover or saying the lines of certain people or randomly her and the librarian are watching the events within the world. Like, they do a good job of balancing that, and it's never the same exact thing.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good job of, and it also shows the power of storytelling as well, which I thought was really fun.
Yes. And it's also really nice because, like, you know, the librarian is super into this story.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, Matilda.
And she's like,
you good?
Is everything fine?
You good, girl?
And Matilda's really bad at lying about it every time. Love that.
Love that. It's very realistic.
Yeah.
It's very, very child.
We have the movie musicals version of the Bruce and cake scene. Bruce's belch with the, like, sparkly cloud that goes and, like goes over to Trunchbull, and she's, like, sniffing at it furiously. It's so fun and gross and the weird whimsical that I liked it. And of course, he eats the cake.
Yeah. And, like, it's not immediately obvious in this version that, like, Matilda is giving him the inspiration. They all just start cheering him on.
Yeah. And Matilda starts to use telekinetic powers for the doors here at this point, too.
Because, very specifically, Miss Trunchbull goes back on her word and puts Bruce in the chokey anyway. Because even though he ate the whole cake, and Matilda gets mad because you made a rule and you broke the rule, and that's not fair.
Mm-hmm. Then we get When I Grow Up. This song makes me cry every time. I love how they filmed this. I loved all the kids and all their different families and different types of families going on, and then them, like, that one kid who's on a trike and then he's on a motorcycle. I love this song. It makes me cry every single time I listen to it, which is why I don't listen to it.
The stage version is also really good because they have the swings. So they have the kids basically swing out onto the audience, and that's how they, like, stage it. And it's like, oh man, you did something cool and clever that you can actually conceivably do on stage instead of all this other stuff you're trying to pull off. And then Miss Honey chimes in on the last verse, and this part also makes me cry because it really does capture that vibe of the 90s movie too, where they say that, where Matilda has that line of, I didn't know adults could be scared of things. And it's like, yeah, here's this full grown woman with a teaching degree that's still sitting there singing, when I grow up, I'll be brave enough to fight all these things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it gets me every time.
And then Matilda's like, just because we're tiny doesn't mean that we can't do things, and I'm going to go fight this lady right now.
Well, she tells Miss Phelps the rest of the story, right? So the story ends really tragically. The acrobat who's pregnant. They do the trick, and the acrobat ends up falling and breaking every bone in her body.
Yeah.
Supposedly, in the Matilda's version of the story.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, we have to imagine the story is not actually how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the acrobat is able...
Actually, it didn't occur to me that wasn't the case, but that makes a lot more sense.
The acrobat is able to give birth before she passes away, shortly after. And the
dad is so sad that he is like, hey, evil stepsister that insisted that we continue with this incredibly dangerous trick even though my wife was pregnant. Why don't you move into our house and help take care of my daughter while I continue to be an whatever the word
escapologist.
Is. What she said.
This is where Matilda and her dad have a huge argument, and this is where he throws her in her room. And this is where we get the song, I'm Here.
Yes, and this is where, like...
Oh, it's hard.
It's hard because... So, it's so clear from this moment, because, like, it's been obvious that Matilda has wanted this little girl's parents to be her parents because they wanted a kid. They wanted a kid so bad that they were doing all these dangerous things and this and this and this. So she wants so bad to be this kid. So she imagines that the dad finds out that the child's been abused.
Yeah.
And
it was been thrown into the basement.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I should have been here, and I'm going to keep being here. And, like, so Matilda imagines herself getting hugged by that dad and getting put to bed and, like, singing to comfort him. And it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And she wakes up and she had bent the metal trash can with her telekinetic powers. And this is where she's, like, ready to get fighting. The next day at school, all the kids start giving her little gifts.
Because they're like, you said no to her.
And that kid has
flash the jacket so that you can see the no. And it's like, it's cute.
It's cute. And again, that's kid stuff. Kids would do that.
Kids would do that. They would be like, yes, you did the one thing.
And then we get to the smell of rebellion at the phys ed scene, which the choreography in this, again, intense, really good. The kids are doing a great job. Emma Thompson's doing a great job. During Smell of Rebellion, there's this point where Miss Trunchbull is on a swing in a white dress with golden hair. Do you know what that's a reference to?
No.
It's a reference to Emma Thompson in Much Ado About Nothing, because at one point in that movie, she's swinging with that same kind of flowy white gown and beautiful blonde hair swinging, and so it's a reference to that.
Yeah.
But Miss Trunchbull is confirmed a horse girl.
Yeah. So basically, like, in the middle of this song, after singing about how, like, the smell of rebellion comes out in the sweat, and I'll figure out which one of you little maggots, like, is really stirring up this rebellion, and I'm like, dude, you don't know. She breaks out into Imagine a World with No Children with a carnival freak named Zeke and a bunch of horses. Don't let them steal your horses. And just this random tangent that, like, makes one of the kids go with, she's crazy. And that's when she's like, aha, there we go. This child is clearly rebellious because they made a remark about me. And it's like, yeah, that's it.
But we get, like, a version of the Newt in the water scene. We have Trunchbull just yelling at Matilda. And Matilda, this goes into quiet. And in my head, I was like, because they obviously, like, referenced Eye of a Hurricane, and in my head, I'm like, in the eye of a hurricane, there's quiet.
So, fun fact.
But also, I love this song, and this poor girl is dissociating so bad.
So, fun fact. This song makes me cry also.
Yeah.
Because one time, when I had a concussion in 12th grade, I was driving home, and I was overstimulated because it was thundering and loud, and this song came on, and it was starting to, like, really, like, send me over the edge, and then they broke into that quiet part, and I burst into tears because I was like, this song is me.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the song is really good. I really liked how they did the visual juxtaposition of the loud and quiet bits. I mean, obviously, like, this song is really relatable to, like, lots of folks for different reasons, but, like, when I was listening to this, I was like, this poor girl is just hardcore dissociating. Like, her trauma response is when things get loud, she forces her brain to go quiet to, like, that poor girl. Oh, this poor girl.
I really like how Trunchbull's characterization in the movie musical specifically, really does emphasize that level of her whole thing is that she used to be really good at this one thing, and would do anything to be back at that point where she was really good at this one thing, to the point of she's okay with bullying and harassing children because she just wants to feel like she is important.
It also makes sense because especially when she went to the Olympics in the 50s, and so the sporting in general, like, arguably up until the last, like, 15 years, your coaches are your bullies, like, more than, like, your other folks that like, I've had some awful coaches, and so that makes sense of, like, it's like learned behavior. And then also, once, like, it's a phenomenon when pro athletes or Olympians stop their act like their body can no longer do the thing they've spent their whole life doing, they often have mental breakdowns of various types, you know, whether that be substances, whether that be turning into a monster like Trunchbull, whether, you know, whatever it is, going on reality TV show, all sorts of different ones, you know. And so you can, like, those little glimpses, it doesn't make sense. It's not, obviously it's not excusable to be this much of a monster, but it's like, oh, I understand the road that led you to this point.
Yeah, and it's also really nice because I think Emma Thompson does a great job of kind of like hinting at like what has led to Miss Trunchbull to be the person that she is, but it's never to the point where you're sitting there being like, are you trying to make me feel sorry for this lady?
Yeah. No, we don't feel sorry for her, but we understand her wants.
Yes,
Yeah.
we understand where she's coming from.
Not how she's trying to get her wants, just
Yes.
we understand her wants.
So after Quiet, Matilda straight up makes the glass float. Mm-hmm. And Miss Honey's like, let's talk at my house after school. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I understand that you don't want to do it in the classroom where Miss Trunchbull can walk in and see all this stuff. It's not weird for you to invite her over. Mm-hmm. You don't, like, yes, you've met her parents, but you don't know the situation with them to the extent that you know that they wouldn't
be okay
care.
with that, yeah.
Yeah, like, you don't... It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's still weird, though I do think part of it in this is that she wants to show Matilda that there is a possibility of escaping the life Matilda is stuck in. I think it's a little bit of that, especially once we get to the song that she sings.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of that
Yes.
as well. It's still weird.
Yes.
If you have a teacher, don't go to their house.
Yeah, and teachers don't invite students over to your house.
Yeah.
Miss Honey doesn't know how bad her home life is. She could put it together because she's not an idiot. But
Yeah.
she doesn't know.
The extent, yeah.
Yeah.
The song in My House, I think, is really well done. I think she does a really good job singing.
This is another one that makes me sob.
It's really good.
It's like the second half of this musical, movie musical specifically, like, it's just sad, and you're
Yep.
like, I get it.
Until the end. And then this is where Miss Honey confirms that Matilda's story that she's been telling Miss Phelps is about her. And I really like this plot switch. So, like, obviously in the movie and in the book, we eventually find out that Miss Trunchbull is her aunt and her longtime abuser, etc. But I like here that it adds to Matilda's kinetic powers is that she has this psychic connection and she's like, oh, well, I know this mysterious story. Like, I really like, it adds to her, like, the powers actually existing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's also an element of it's fun to have, because unlike in the like movie you can't have those like subtle hints like in the musical, at least stage musical, you can't have subtle hints like the door shutting and opening. So having this is foreshadowing of these bigger psychic powers,
And it's a good amount of nuance too.
Yes.
Yeah. Matilda destroys the OG Chokey out in the woods. And we find out that the family's running away to Spain because her dad has been selling crappy cars to the mafia, and now they're running from the mafia, which I think is a fun little difference. But Matilda has like one more partial day at school, so she's like, I need to go and like protect my friends and Miss Honey. Like, that's her goal. And they go, and their punishment for the whole phys ed fiasco is they have to do a spelling test, and if they get a word wrong, they have to go in the chokey. And then they all essentially do an I am Spartacus moment where they all misspell words on purpose, which is very fun. And I forgot how Miss Trunchbull, the second time rewatching it this morning, I was like, oh, look at them, they're doing it. And I forgot how she's like, just kidding, here's 20,000 other chokies I made last night. I was busy.
Yeah, and it's just like this fun, like, of course she would. And it does a couple of things. One, it adds more weight to Matilda's rebellion throughout because these other kids are inspired to go do this thing. So it's not just Matilda coming and saving the day. It's everybody else joining in on this rebellion that she started.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not pointless for her to do what she does next because, yes, Miss Trunchbull was literally going to put all of them in a single in like different chokies. And it's so cool because she does the chalk writing.
Yep.
does, and also in this version, they have her do like a chain monster that looks like Magnus.
Yeah.
It is so cool.
And the CGI does not bother me. They spent a good amount of money on it, which is good, because sometimes when you have a bunch of practical or stage effects and then suddenly you have a CGI, it's like, what? But this was a good amount of budget towards it, which I was glad. Yeah.
And then
they spent money on this movie.
They really did.
I'm glad they did.
Yeah, me too.
Netflix did finally spent money? What? On not Stranger Things? But then we get the best song in the musical. Revolting Children gets me every time. And I remember when this was going viral on TikTok and people were doing the dances and stuff. And I was so excited the whole time to watch this. I love this song. It's so good. The beret, Hortensia, the beret girl, Bruce. We didn't talk about Bruce. Bruce is technically wearing a fat suit in this.
Yeah.
And I have a few things. Like, one, why don't you just find a talented chubby kid? That's my first thing. And two, I understand why they are going to add a little chubby suit to Bruce, because he is forced to eat that big cake. So if 2 days after he eats all that cake, he would have a belly. Like, that's physiologically okay. Yeah. So I kind of wish they had him not have a fat suit until after the cake. Then I would have been like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going to have if you ate that much cake, you're going to have a belly for a few days.
Yeah. And I didn't notice until this song. And then I was like, oh, that's not great.
Yeah.
There are so many talented plus size people in the world. And I get it with Emma Thompson because you need like a big name. Well, the other thing I thought that you were going to say at first, like, it's cool because Bruce doesn't participate in the Spelling Bee rebellion.
I love his story. Yeah.
Because he's still traumatized from the choking. But he's the one that starts up the Revolting Children now that Miss Trunchbull's gone. So that fear is gone and he gets to lead the song.
Yes. I love this song. It's so good.
It's a good song.
No notes.
Especially the staging of it.
Yes.
And this is where, like, Matilda's parents come out.
Yeah.
In the movie musical, they come out and they're like, hey, come with us. We need to outrun the mafia. Mm-hmm. And Miss Honey is the one that says, hey, I'll take her. Which is both good. It's still a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the dad calls this whole time the dad has always said boy or him, and Matilda's constantly like, I'm a girl. And this time he's like, my daughter or her. And like there's this like weird moment in the movie musical where he's like having a bit of regret of how he like has treated her, and they like shake hands. And I don't hate it, but it's also weird.
It's very weird. In the stage version, there's a bit of a time jump where they talk about all the things that have happened, about how Miss Honey gets the house and she becomes a new headmistress and this and this and this. They're hanging out at the library and Matilda's telling the story to Miss Phelps, and Miss Phelps says, and I quote, it's too bad that nobody would take Matilda away from that terrible family of hers. And it's like, ma'am, if you know, then do something.
In the stage?
Yes. And her parents come in. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we need to go. The mafia's here. Mm-hmm. We need to outrun the mafia. And then they have that little interaction about like, oh, I'll take care of her. Like, you don't need to leave with her. And he's like, you want to take our daughter? And then the whole time the wife's like, Harry, the mafia. And the mafia shows up.
The mafia shows up? Why?
They show up. The Wormwoods hide. And they confront Matilda. And the guy's name is Sergei. He gets a whole, like, not a long song. He gets a reprise of This Little Girl from earlier in the show that Miss Honey sang about how, like, this little girl is so special because Matilda speaks with him in Russian because she knows Russian. And she decides to not give her parents up, which is what I was talking about with that callback to, revenge isn't always justified. And I think she decides in that moment that this particular kind of revenge, where her new mafia friends are threatening to kill her parents, she doesn't need that energy in her life. And they let the Wormwoods go and say if they ever see them again, that's when they're going to kill them. So that's how her parents get away from the mafia and she gets adopted.
Interesting. Why make it that extreme? They could have just done what the movie did in like 5 minutes, not even 30 seconds.
Uh-huh.
But the movie does end with the song. This song was written for the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Still Holding My Hand. I liked the song.
This song also makes me cry.
It's a good song. It also made me tear up too. I think it's a good song. I understand ending on Revolting Children because it is such a showstopper. But I think it's good that they added the song. I know the stage has another songs too, but
the stage has that reprise of "I'm Here," I'm Here" of this little girl, and then it goes into "When I Grow Up."
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Which is what plays over the credits.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. But I think I like that they ended with this song.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, do you want to hear some fun facts about the movie musical?
Sure.
So in Revolting Children, the phrase revolting rhymes is used because it is a title of Roald Dahl's poetry collection.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And then
that's the one that I referenced last week.
Yeah, I know. When I saw that, I was like, oh, hey, she said that. But there you go. And then in the cake scene, they used over 150 cakes. Not just to make the huge cake, but because you have to think about it, they had to make it go less and less and less, and they didn't want to do practical or special effects, so they just did different cakes. So they were switching out cakes constantly. So over 150 cakes were used for that scene. Wow, that's my fun facts.
Fun,
yeah. Is this movie musical a good adaptation of both the stage play and or the book?
Yes to both. No, I don't know about the book. I don't know if it's a great adaptation of the book. I think it's a good adaptation of the stage musical, if only because it takes the stuff that's good about the stage musical, like the music, and makes it better. Mm-hmm. Book, I'm a little iffier on because, for a lot of the stuff that they add in about this escapologist and this, it just makes it a little too much for even the book.
Mm-hmm. I think I see more of the 96 movie influencing the movie musical than I do the book influencing the movie musical.
Yes.
And so that's why I think it's not a good adaptation of the book. Mm-hmm. I cannot speak for the stage musical or the stage play, but from the bits that you've told me, I think it's a great adaptation of the stage play. So because this is a third tier adaptation essentially, or second tier adaptation.
It's basically an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
it really loses those influences.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say it's not a good adaptation of the book, but it is a great movie musical.
Yes.
Honestly, top 10 movie musicals that I can think of right now.
It's pretty dang good.
It's solid.
It takes a quality director and quality movie making to take a stage musical that is bad and make it not just watchable but good.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and it's a good time. Well, thanks, Amanda.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Read the Book First Podcast. Check out our Patreon, where Amanda and I will have done some sort of game that I am working on creating. So check it out. It's a mystery to us because we have not done it, but it will be a mystery to you until you look at it. So go look at it. Make sure you're subscribed to your preferred platform so that way the episodes download when they come out. We will be posting schedules for future episodes on our Instagram, which is why you should check out the Instagram. Rate us 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, don't worry about it. And remember, read the book first.